What up, YouTube? I am your host, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, back in here with yet one more video, joined today by a very special new guest, Charles.
What's up, man? What's going on?
What's up, brother?
What's going on?
How are you, man?
Good,
How are
man.
you?
I'm good.
Good, man. I'm super excited for this conversation. I'm glad today that you can join. You know, I think that, you know, we've had a lot of conversations outside of the camera. And one of the things that, you know, as I started this YouTube journey, is I always said to myself, man, we got to get this type of conversation in front of more people so they can learn from the type of knowledge that we speak within each other ourselves. So I appreciate you joining today, brother.
Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, man. All right, so listen, video today is going to come from a subscriber, Latin Black 29. He asked, what if I don't know what my purpose is? Now, his comment is coming from the video that I did not too long ago about how I more than doubled my income by going back to school and getting an MBA, Master's of Business Administration. So I think it's important to note that as I did that video, me getting an MBA is not necessarily indicative of everyone else's lifestyle, dependent upon their goal, but a lot of what you have to focus in on to ascertain if that's your goal is your why. What's your purpose, right? And we've had this conversation regarding purpose, regarding what's your why. So I think that this question right here is right timing for the guest that I have here today, all right? Charles, you know, we've kind of gone on our own paths of figuring out our purpose, right? And identifying who we are as men. Can you tell me a little bit, going back and figuring out what your purpose is and what that journey kind of looked like for you?
And I appreciate the question, man. It's been a long journey kind of thinking about this, man. And I know we've had conversations about this before, and I appreciate the question, man, because I think for me, not knowing the why, it was like a weight. It was like a weight on my shoulder where I felt like, you know, why am I here? You know, even having conversations, you know, getting mad and like, why are you putting me here? Right. You know, that type of thing. So, you know, I guess the best way to answer that for me is how I found it, and then maybe we can, you know, kind of talk about some things that I've done since then that's kind of, you know, helping other people find out what their why is. Right. I kind of hit a crossroad, I would say, in my career. And I was at a career and I was sitting here and I was hammering, hitting, and trying to figure out, you know, like, how can I move up? How can I do stuff? And in my scenario, I was in a scenario where I couldn't do anything else and I couldn't move further up in my career. Right. So I was at that crossroad, and the only thing I could do was either move to the West Coast, which I kind of thought about, or quit the job that I was at. And the long story short of that is that, excuse me, I basically filled out 170 applications trying to figure out my why. Like I know I got to be doing something here, but I'm kind of stifled here. Not 170. I filled out those applications and I didn't get one phone call. So I got pissed off. Does nobody not like me? Am I not good? Right. What is the issue? Why can't I figure out? Why can't I get to my next space? Right. 170 applications later, I didn't figure that out. So I got upset. So I got quiet. So one of the first things that I would recommend is get quiet. Get quiet with y'all. Got rid of the cell phone, got rid of the internet, got rid of everything. I sat down and I pulled out a piece of paper. And I pulled out a piece of paper and I started figuring, and I said, what am I good at? What do I like? What am I don't like, and what don't I ever want to do again in life? And so that quiet piece right there got me to start thinking about, what am I good at? What do I really like? What do I really enjoy? Which is two different things. Right. And what don't I ever like? Right. And so my whole career, the whole leading up to the point was, I've done stuff that I didn't like, but I never kind of really wrote it down.
So a part of that 170 application process was things that you really didn't want to do or didn't like, or wasn't a part of your why. Correct. Which might have led to why you didn't get those calls back. Correct. All right.
But there's also some things that I did good, that I really enjoyed, that really brought me energy, that really impacted the community. And I had to put those down too. They was all in my head, but I just didn't put them down. And then so when I put them down, I sit there and then I start kind of making like a spider web, so to speak. So I got an Excel spreadsheet, and then I put down what am I good at, what am I not, what am I good at, what do I like, which is two different things, and then what don't I like whatsoever. Right. And then I start circling the commonalities behind all of those. Right. Because the commonalities help me identify what really brings me joy. But really, what am I good at? And the difference is, just a real quick example of understanding, like I love music, right? Like I love music. I love jazz music. I love R&B. I love all genres of music. But I'm not made for music. Right. You know, Michael Jackson, Prince, they can sit down there, come up with a harmony in their head, and they can articulate it, get it out, and boom, done. That's not me. Right. But I love music. I'm not good at it. What I'm good at is meeting people, relating with people, because I'm interested in people. Like the interesting, because I think we're more connected than we're not in life. And so for me, sitting down with somebody, talking to them, having a conversation, that is really interesting to me.
Right.
Well, other people say, well, why are you always networking? Why are you talking? That drains me. Well, that brings me energy when I talk to people, because I'm really interested in what makes them tick.
Right.
And so that's the difference between things that you like and passionate about and what are you good at.
Right. Which is huge, because I think like the sweet spot is when you can find a role that takes up a significant amount of your time that combines the two.
They find right.
But not everyone has, especially, there's a lot of young dudes that watch this channel, like, kind of early 20s, trying to figure out things in life. And one of the things that I often say as well is that, I think, and especially nowadays, there's so much information coming at you, whether it be the new apps on your phone, whether it be that new phone, whether it be, all the numbers in your call log, what have you. There's a lot of things that are coming at you that are taking time away from that really important question as you define who you are, your purpose in this life, and who you will be as a man, of sitting down and figuring out your why. It's such an important question, but it's one of the hardest that you will ever do in your life. You know what I mean?
And I would beg the difference in the sense of, if you don't take that time, you'll never figure out why. You have to take the time to get quiet to find out why. That's what I had to do. So when I did that, like, I put it down there, and from that day forward, I said, I'm no longer working a job ever again in life. You may say, what does that mean? Because I said, I'm no longer going by titles. Now, I've had titles. I no longer go by titles, because now I'm working on purpose of why I am creative. I came up with my mission statement. My mission statement is hope, helping other people excel by bridging the gap, bringing people together for the common purpose of why they're created.
So it's a personal mission.
It's a personal mission statement that I have that helps me in every career that I've been in since.
So I'm hearing: get quiet, ask yourself why, create a mission statement, create a mission or a vision statement to help guide your purpose.
Right. So then every decision is now based upon that purpose. So what happened in that scenario that I'm telling you right now, what happened was, I got a phone call less than 2 weeks later. How did I know that this was going to be my why? Because I said, I'm no longer just working a job, right? So I don't want to just take a position just for the sake of taking a position, but I had it up on a board. And on the board, it had my mission statement. It had what I'm good at, what I like doing, what I don't like doing. So when I got the call less than 2 weeks later after doing this, I could look at that board right there and say,
just fit it in. It
fits in for everything I'm doing. This is why I'm created. And it checked off every mark, every check that I need to do to say if this is what I'm doing, it checked it off.
Right.
And then now I knew that I was doing. So every day I get up, I go to work. I'm doing what I'm called to do, as opposed to just working a job, collecting a check.
Let me ask you a question, because I think oftentimes it can be hard to identify those things that you would put within that framework. Did you discover anything new about yourself as you went through this quiet time process of figuring out really who you are and what is it that you're trying to be? Did you figure out new things within that when you sat down, or is it just things that you just never took the time to document?
You just hit it, man. That is so funny that you say that, because the latter of the two is that it was nothing new. I've been doing this my whole entire life. I had always been, president of student government. I've been class president. I've been captain of the football team. I've been always in these positions of leadership, right? I had already been connecting people together my whole entire life. I look back and you look at, a smorgasbord of contacts that you've made over, and I'm like, why did I do this? But I never did it with intention.
Right.
So when I listed every single thing down, like, I've been doing this my whole life. Been getting people registered to vote, been in the politics game, bringing corporations together and raising money for them. I had already been doing this, but not getting paid for it. Now when I put it on paper, it made it make so much sense to me that this is what I'm here. And then it brought me energy too, because I like doing that stuff. Right. So I didn't discover it, but I didn't really take the time to really discover how could I make a career out of this and not really have a job. So instead of having a job, I have a call.
That's powerful, man. And it's powerful for me to hear as well, because in knowing you and knowing how goal oriented you are and how ambitious you are, you still didn't have, like, if someone asked you your why, your purpose, you might tell someone one thing on Monday and another thing on Tuesday, but it wasn't until you got quiet, you got within yourself, and you built a framework, and you really got truthful with yourself. Up until that point, that answer might have been a sliding scale. It might have changed to, position 1 of the 170, would have had a different why than position 170 out of 170, depending upon the questions that they would ask you. But you were conforming to their whys. But you had to create it for yourself in order really to pursue forward into a life filled with happiness and purpose.
And the good thing about that too is that I believe in energy, right? I think we have energy in this world, in this physical world that we live in. When I put that energy out there in the world, again, the funny thing that happened, again, I filled out 170 applications to get one phone call. I was putting out bad energy. I didn't fill out one application for the job that I got less than 2 weeks later after I did this. I did not fill out an application. I got a phone call that came to me.
Right.
Once I said, this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
I'm going to say that one more time. I'd never applied for the job that I got less than 2 weeks later after I did this. I have never applied for another position since. They've all come to me.
That's real, man. You know what? Can you also talk as well? Because I've been through this process as well. That the whole hiring, right? Like you send out 170, 270, 370, and you're not getting a response back. Can you talk through what that did to your confidence and how you did not let that define who you are?
Well, kick me in my butt, man. I'm a competitor. I'm competitive by nature, man. I hate to lose, and that's why I got quiet. Like, it forced me to make action and forced me to make a decision. What am I going to do? Am I going to get back in the corner and go cry, or am I going to get out there and make something else happen? Now, again, that forced me. That's part of my story. Everybody may not have to fill out 170. For me, it made me have to get real on what do I really want to do with myself. Right. And then for me too, I can't let this just go out, without saying it, is that, for me, I was doing it on my own power. And so the first thing that I did before I did this, and hopefully it doesn't, offend anybody. If it does, I'm sorry, it's my story. But I believe in a higher power, and I believe that His word, His needs, He shall supply all my needs. That very little statement, He shall supply all my needs. I took that out, I wrote it down, I put it in my shoe, and as I was walking on that, I believe that I was believing in His word more than mine, and that's the energy that I'm talking about. When you just put it out there in the atmosphere, and then less than 2 weeks later, I got a phone call.
Like you physically put it in your shoe.
Yeah, I wrote it down, tore out a piece of paper, and I put it on there because it then feels uncomfortable when you're walking around and something's in your shoe.
Yeah, you
right?
feel it.
You feel it, but then that was a reminder that I'm believing in His word more than my own. And that's the energy that came out, and that's what came right back to me.
Man, that's an amazing story.
And it's a principle too. So I do want to say that it's a principle. It's a principle regardless if you believe in it or if you don't believe in it. But it's like gravity. If you jump off a building, you're confirming that gravity works. And it's a principle regardless of what. I mean, it's how drug dealers do it. How do they get people hooked? They give them something. And then they get stuff back. I believe then that if I put out good energy, stuff will come back to me.
That's real, man. So now that you have figured out your purpose, figured out your why, figured out your path, you end up getting that role, end up getting that job. Like, how are you doing right now? Are you still confident? Right? Do you feel like you have to retool your mission statement, your purpose statement? Right? Because I think about who I was at when I was 20 is different than who I am now at 34. Right? And my purpose statement throughout my life has shifted and changed. And what I tell my subscribers, what I've told them in previous videos is, having the ability to be flexible enough to try different things within your realm of your comfort, right? Within the realm of what you expect for your life, or even things you don't expect for your life, because you might come across something that you're like, oh, this is pretty dope. You know what I mean? So within that, you've gone on this path, and I'm, probably about a year that you've accepted that new role. Has there been any shifts to your mission statement, or any changes based off the learnings in the new role that you're in?
Well, that's an interesting question that you say that. So since that first position that I got, I've actually got 2 positions since then. And so the mission statement stays the same: helping other people excel, or bridging the gap, bringing people together for the common purpose of why they're created. That's the mission statement. That's the purpose. But it's happened in so many different platforms. The first one was nonprofit, helping build community. The second one was in venture capital. Like, who would have thought I would have been in venture capital? Tech startup, do this type of community. Who would have thought that? But the role was the same as what I was doing with the nonprofit. Right. Then another position comes up, and now, I'm talking about my community that I love. I'm born and raised here, and I pinch myself every day because I'm now on the platform now that I get to brag on my city. I know you love your city too, where you from and stuff like that. But I love my city too, and so I'm not working. Like, I work up every day, and I'm not working. Like, I really get to do what I love doing, which is touch people and bring people together. Yeah. And I've done that in all 3 spaces. So it's been in different all 3 positions have been in different spaces, different platforms, so to speak. But I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing what I do because I'm called to do it. And I can do it anywhere I'm at.
That's real, man. All right, so listen, Latin Black 29. Again, the question was, what if I don't know what my purpose is? So we can't define your purpose for you, brother. But Charles, I think, just laid out the framework of one particular way that you can go out to try to figure out your purpose. Anything last to say to add on top of that, brother?
For Latin Black, man, I would just say to you, keep your head up, believe in yourself. Believe in what you do innately. I believe that the Creator, regardless of what, Creator put in talents and abilities into each and every one of us. We all have stuff that we do innately. I say great. We do it without effort. Some people can dance, some people can write, some people can think, some people can bring people together. Like there's innately stuff that you just inherently do. Like I was good at math. I don't really like math, but I'm really good at it. I just don't like it, right? But I think you can marry the two, and that now becomes your purpose. And what I say is that nobody is going to find out why they're created unless you take the time to find out what you do well, what you like, and what you don't like.
Right.
If you can figure those three things out and you can marry the two, then you'll never have to work another day in your life.
Charles, appreciate the knowledge, man. I appreciate the story. It's conversations like this, which is why I'm still pursuing doing this. You know, it's conversations like this that like we have within ourselves, but you know, we both consider ourselves fairly successful dudes. But for folks that are still figuring out their purpose or their place in their life, right? Like being able to hear conversations like this, I think it doesn't do any harm whatsoever. It does nothing but to provide value. You know what I mean? So I appreciate your time and coming here and adding to that value.
I can say one more thing before you go, man. Is that I just want to say I appreciate you for taking the time to have these critical conversations. You know, our community needs us much, and I think you're walking in your purpose as far as for bringing people together, having these conversations to get stuff out so then we can have real conversation, because in our community we don't do a lot of this.
Right.
So I appreciate you. I'll tip my cap to you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing and keep answering those questions.
As long as you come back, brother. All right? As long as you come back. Questions, comments, concerns, leave it down in the description box down below. Video requests, mediocretutorialsandreviews@gmail.com. I have that link down there as well. All right? Until next time, YouTube.